You're listening to Campbell's & Co. The Athlete Perspective.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Campbell's & Co. We have some incredible co in the house today. I cannot wait to get to our two very special guests that we have. But Cate, first, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I am so excited. I have been wanting to chat to the two lovely ladies sitting in the chairs in front of us for a very, very long time. It's a bit of a family affair because we are joined by none other than Jess and Noemi Fox. Welcome to Campbell's & Co.
Yay! We should just call it Sisters & Co today.
We should. That's what it feels like, yeah. Sisters doing it for themselves. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to chat through Olympics, family, comparison, sisterhood, all the good, juicy stuff, and it is going to be great. But first, I'm going to do the really awkward thing and read out your bios.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Yep. And you guys are just going to have to sit there and listen to it and wait for me to finish.
Also, if she gets anything wrong, feel free to correct her.
Yes.
Did you ChatGPT this or no?
No. I pride myself on not using ChatGPT to do this because I know that it gets things wrong all the time. All right. So it is impossible to tell the story of these two incredible women sitting in front of me without talking about their family. Jess and Noemi are 3 years apart and were born in France to a canoe kayak royalty, Richard Fox and Miriam Fox Jerusalemi. Richard came fourth at the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, where whitewater canoe slalom was included for the first time as a regular Olympic event. Miriam competed at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, winning bronze in the kayak slalom. Jess was 2 at the time, and Miriam had just found out that she was pregnant with Noemi the day before she competed. So can we say that you're like one of the youngest
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Olympic bronze medalists ever?
I used to claim that I was an Olympian before I did Excellent.
I love that. The family moved to Australia in 1998 when Jess was 4 and Noemi was 1, and Richard took up a position as the national head coach ahead of the Sydney Olympics. Jess has competed at 4 Olympic Games and is the undisputed GOAT of whitewater slalom events. Now, I'm just going to quickly go through some of your achievements, Jess, because there are a lot. So with 6 Olympic medals, 3 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze, you are the most decorated Olympic canoe slalom athlete in history, male or female. The most decorated athlete in history in the ICF Canoe Slalom World Champs with 22 medals, 14 of those are gold. In the canoe event, you were number 1 in the world from 2013 to 2023, which is the longest streak in history. So there are a lot of firsts, a lot of longest, undisputed GOAT. I think that we can well and truly say that. Now, I want to quickly mention here that up until 2024, Australia could only have 1 athlete per event in the Olympics. So for Noemi to qualify for the Olympics, she was not only going to have to beat the greatest canoe slalom athlete of all time, who not only happened to be Australian, but was also her sister. Fortunately, that changed with the inclusion of kayak cross at the Paris Olympics, where 2 athletes per nation were allowed to compete. And Noemi qualified for the team in 2023. And I can remember that so clearly. In Paris, who could forget that magical moment when Noemi became the inaugural Olympic champion in the kayak cross? Jess had already won 2 Olympic gold medals earlier in the water that week herself. Now, while researching for this interview, my favorite fun fact, apart from the fact that, you were an Olympian before you were even born, is that the 2 of you had a Barbie of Susie O'Neill from the 2000 Sydney Olympics that used to play with in the bathtub. And I just think that is such a fun image. So Jess and Noemi, welcome to Campbell's & Co. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. What a beautiful intro. That was epic.
Any notes, any facts wrong?
I qualified in 2024, 5 weeks out from the Olympics.
Yes.
But other than that, it's so special sometimes just hearing the bio and like the family history. I think we see each other every day. You hear your story and you kind of desensitize it a little bit. And then, yeah, it's just so special, I think, to hear it out loud sometimes.
Yeah, it's really very infrequently that I think anyone as an athlete stops and takes a look at their career. Like, a theme that we've discussed a lot is just like everyone's just like onto the next thing all the time, and you're concentrating on like what do you need to do like today, tomorrow, the next day. before we jump into all the athlete chat, after hearing like that sort of introduction, what I would really love is if you could introduce each other, but without any of the canoe stuff. Like if Noemie, you were going to introduce Jess to someone without any canoe in it, how would you describe your sister?
I'd say this is Jess. She's my older, big, curly-haired sister that leaves hairballs everywhere she goes. But she's incredibly talented, a fast learner in everything she does, and inspires me every day. And I'm lucky at this chapter of my life that I get to see her every single day. Which is, quite rare. Actually, my partner said yesterday we see each other on average like 5 hours a day.
Wow.
For the year. So, I'm grateful for Jess every day.
That's beautiful.
And to introduce Noemie, I would say this is my beautiful younger sister who is sometimes really hard on herself, but is incredible at everything she does as well. Not only an amazing athlete, in not just paddling, like she is an amazing athlete. Look at the running you do.
In what sport? Cross country skiing.
Really?
Okay.
Running in the gym, she's smashing it. Off the water as well, has always been someone who had work opportunities or was a real go-getter when she set her mind on something, and is currently planning a wedding to add a little bit more excitement and stress on her plate. So it's been fun also discovering this side of
the
Noemie.
bridezilla.
I cannot imagine. I could not imagine. You are not.
I'm like, nobody talked to me about the wedding.
And of course, Jess brings it up.
I'm so sorry. No, and I think also what has always been really lovely is we spend so much time together. Probably like you end up rooming together and traveling together for weeks and months on end. And then we also ended up living in the same apartment block. And she had a key to my apartment and would come in and be like, "Oh, can I have some milk? Or can I have some of this?" And I never had a key to hers.
There's not much in the cupboards to steal.
Or as the younger sister, like I can say, it's not so much knocking and asking. It's like, "Oh, are they here? Oh, let me just take this because it still fits me as well as you." And like, I'll just take this piece of clothing and like maybe they won't notice it's gone.
We do notice. We do notice. Jess, we do notice.
Especially when they post it on Instagram and you're like, "Hey, is that my shirt?
Is that my blazer? Are they my shoes? Wait, are they my trousers?" I've been outed a few times.
Dressed by Jess sounds quite nice though. So
Oh yeah.
Like
That
that.
is.
Yeah, that's got quite a good ring to it. Now, ladies, I want to know what you were like as little kids, because this journey started for you right from when you were tiny little babies. But I think that people can often think that because you're related and you grow up to do the same thing, that you're very similar. Jess, are you similar to Noemie, or are you different? And were those differences or similarities apparent right from when you were little?
I think we always did similar things because when you're growing up together, we all did gymnastics or the same school sport. I think Mum was like, "Okay, if we're going to do after school sport, you're going to do the same one because it's going to make my life easier." So, whether it was swimming or gymnastics or piano lessons or whatever, we were kind of always doing the same thing. But, we'd play together. We'd have similar friends in terms of family friends. But I think we were always a little bit different. Noemie maybe wasn't as competitive in paddling as early as I was.
And when did that start for you?
For me, it was probably 13.
Okay.
I was like, right, I'm going to, I really
what
want to
happened?
do
Did
it.
you just decide like one day it just clicked?
I was racing like nationals and started really putting together good races, and then just really enjoyed competing and saw that I could start beating some of the older girls. And so that kind of, made me motivated. And then you kind of make the junior team and you get that first taste of an international race. And so I guess my trajectory was quite linear in that sense that I was, climbing that ladder from age groups. And Noemie's was a little bit different, and she was always exploring things on the side that really inspired me. You went and did an internship overseas and in Switzerland, and always was able to organize things by herself, get it done by herself, whereas I feel like I had to ask everyone for help to make sure I was on the right track, to make sure I was doing the right thing. So I've always been inspired by that about her, and that she could, from a young age, I spent ages trying to learn how to ride a bike. And then one day, Noemie's just in the backyard and taught herself how to ride without even using training wheels. Like it was a kind of, I guess, the second child.
Is that the benefit of being the second child, of being able to watch Jess try all the things, and maybe you get exposed to them when you're a little bit younger as well?
Maybe, but I feel like you just described me as like the fast learner in the family, and that's the opposite, I'd say, of what I am. But I think there's that element of, Jess really paved the path for a lot of it. Or say at school when we did kayaking, they had gone through it all with Jess by the time I came around. And so, it was just a lot that I could already do without having to, get permission from this teacher or that teacher. So there was definitely that. But yeah, I'd say in terms of differences, Jess is the most like calm, chill persona. And when she's like set on something, she's set on something. And I think for me, I'm like, dramatic. I like, to steal things and get reactions as a child or whatnot. And I think if we were the same personas, it would have been like quite intense growing up. But there's that element of like, I always say we never really fought as kids because you can't fight with Jess. She'll be like either just getting on with it and then you're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just play.
I tried to pull her hair, but I got no reaction.
So yeah, we're lucky to have, I think, shared a lot growing up on the side of the riverbank and be, keeping each other company and now to do that as teammates is super, super special.
And Noemie, I'm hearing from Jess, like Jess is like, okay, cool. I want to do kayak. I want to do slalom. I'm 13 years old. I'm into that. And you had a bit more of a roundabout route to getting there, trying a few other things, which like I actually agree with Jess. It's quite brave to experience other things, particularly when your whole family is in one camp, to be like, oh, I'm gonna do something else and try other things and differentiate myself. That's quite difficult to do. So talk to me about that period, and then how after doing exploring, you're like, oh, now I want to come back into the fold.
I think for me, it was more so like a feeling that I didn't actually get the sport or learn the sport as quickly or just kind of understand it. And there was a lot of, sorry, my voice. There was a lot of like, I want to do this and do other things just so I'm not just identified as an athlete because I'm actually not very good at this. So that's how I felt, like a bit of a slow learner. I'd been exposed to medals very early on, parents world champions. Jess, by the time I did my first junior world championship, she was already world number 1, 2013, and had already won a medal at the Olympics, silver, that I got to watch. And so I was like, I must be good at this too. And first world championships, I came 11th, which was one spot too short to qualify for the Nanjing Youth Olympics, which I just assumed I would go to, So I think that kind of made me realize, oh, maybe I'm not talented in this. And then the years that followed, I think I was, really struggling with the sport. So for me, it was more of like a identity crisis. How can I develop myself in different things and do, different sports or have different passions and hobbies, just so I don't feel like I'm just doing one thing, because I know I'm actually not good at it and I might never make it. So I think there was that sort of coping mechanism. And then I loved having balance and baskets and different just things going on, and thrived off, the chaos and uni and internships. And I think I really only became very competitive probably 10 years after Jess at 23. And that's when that Olympic door opened as a reality, or 2022. And that's when I thought, actually, this means so much to me and I need to put everything in one basket to get there.
It's an amazingly harsh comparison. Like the fact that how old were you in 2013, 2012? You're what, like
15?
15?
Yeah,
and you're
15-ish.
like, I'm 11th in the world. I'm not talented. I'm bad at this. Like, it just strikes me how harsh that comparison is. Whereas if you're in a different family, you're 11th in the world. Quite often, that's a cause for a lot of celebration. Like,
it's so funny. There was this New South Wales Institute of Sport end of celebration event that we went to, and the Premier spoke, and in his speech he said, you start out being the best in your household, then you're the best in the street, then you're the best in your school, and soon the state, and then you get to be on that national team and be the best in the world. And my psychologist was next to me and I was like, I'm on level 1. I'm still not the best in my house.
I'm going to be on level 1 for a long time.
But it's I think there's definitely been harsh comparison, but at the same time, you know, they've all known how hard it was for me to be constantly compared. And with that also comes being constantly compared to the best in the world. And when you're 2 seconds off, you're 2 seconds off the best in the world. And I think there was a lot of victim mindset about, oh, it's so hard for me. Like I'm never going to be good at this. They don't understand. And then I think when there was that whole 2022 just overhaul, it was leaving that victim mindset, accepting that I've benefited so much and grown so much from also being constantly compared. And just the whole time has really tried to pull me up, you know, with her, and has known that it has been hard, you know, always being Olympic reserve or not thinking I would ever get there. So when that door did open to be one of the 3 spots to qualify at a global Olympic quota qualification, it was like, we're going to help her get there. What can I do to help you get there? Do you need help from this person? This person really helped me. I can organize a meeting, and, you know, was my sparring partner. So I think, you know, it was the most incredible experience for us to also share that you're here to help me this time. You know, I think Tokyo was like, how can I help you? You know, you're the best athlete, and how can I be your training partner? And then to have that in Paris, I really, you know, felt that whole support and lift. And then, we qualified, and that was the best day ever because we became, you know, Olympic teammates, which is something I genuinely never thought would happen.
Was it a dream when you were younger to go to the Olympics together? Like, Jess, you wanted to go to the Olympics. And Noemie, I think I've heard you say that you were attracted to like the Olympic values, but maybe you didn't see yourself going to it. So was it a dream ever to go together? Because I know for Bronte and myself, we were going to go to the Olympics together, like right from the beginning.
And maybe that's because that was something we were allowed to do. There's 2 spots per event at the time. Excuse you, Jess. At the time, like we were doing different strokes. Like there's so many opportunities. Like we were allowed to dream that dream.
Yeah. I definitely think that, you know, growing up, we knew what the Olympics were from a young age. So, and I was obsessed with it. And so that was always like, I want to be there. I want to go there. And when we got old enough to realize we could be on that path, we also realized there was only one spot. And, you know, for me to qualify for London or Rio, there's only one spot for the women. And then, so I don't know that we ever actually talked about it to go together.
No, I don't think I ever dreamt that.
Yeah, until, you know, that window of opportunity came about. And I think that's when we went, no, this is it. Like, let's do what we can. And it's about being courageous to go for it, because there was only 3 quota spots available for the kayak cross for Noemie to qualify. So she had to come top 3 at the last chance competition.
On one day.
And in kayak cross, it's like
anything can happen, right? It is chaos.
Chaos out there.
Anything can happen. And so I do have really fond memories of that lead-in preparation. I think we were in training camp in Paris, or I can't remember where we were, and I was just like, right, let's just spar together. Like, you attack me, you go for it. You've got it. Like, I'm going to fight. We're going to push each other to be as good as we can be so that you can get on that start line for the qualification event and know you're the best prepared you can be. And so, I think when she qualified, that's one of the best days of my life. Like, seeing Noemie qualify, I was in all sorts. Like, I still get emotional thinking about it, because it was so incredible to see her lock in, believe in herself, and, you know, put it together, and then to share what we did in Paris. It was just amazing.
Our eyes are both glistening.
I'm immediately gonna cry. It's so beautiful hearing you talk about it, and it's really interesting, Noemie, hearing you talk like, oh, like it wasn't possible, and there was, I mean, you said victim mindset. I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but then switching into, oh, this is a benefit. Like, I get to train with the best in the world, and like together we're unstoppable, and like it is an extra power. Like, it's a superpower if there's the space to do it and if you can harness it. And like, I'm just struck that that's quite a hard shift to make, and you both seem to have come together and made that really, really quickly. And it's just, I'm just struck that that's very impressive and very difficult to do, to go from being like competing against each other to being like, no, we're going to harness this competitiveness and take it to like a whole other level.
I think, I mean, it kind of all started, in that early 2020s and then in the lead up to 2022. But for me, the Olympics were always something that I dreamt of, but didn't let myself fully believe that I could make that. So, and I think there wasn't much jealousy or animosity because Jess is the best in the world. She's the one that has to go to the Olympics for Australia. So there was always that respect, and yeah, there was that frustration that I never got the shot before, or seeing people that I could beat in different countries go. I think that was the biggest one. And for Paris, I just knew that, you know, we had to make it happen. And when that quota opened up, it was also not me competing against Jess. And I think that was the biggest thing. It was like, this is my moment and everyone can support me to qualify to then compete against Jess. But I think that was the biggest shift is we could all support like this qualification that wasn't actually versing each other. And I think that's the biggest thing where it can get hard, and what we haven't really experienced is fighting, me being at that level that could beat Jess to fight for that one spot, because it just has always, you know, even in slalom has always been above me. And so it's been that respect. But I think that, yeah, if we were at a very average, well, not average, but like 10th in the world, the same level, it would be a much different maybe dynamic as well.
Yeah, maybe. And I think we push each other at like this morning at training, we had a really hard session and we were, you know, we were being timed, so it's confrontational, and then, you know, you're put up against each other, and I might win one, you might win one. And so, and then it comes to race day and you've got to get out there and put your best run down, but you're also versing everyone else. So it does feel different, you know, whether it's cross or slalom, it feels different. But when you come down to only one spot, it changes a relationship, or it changes the dynamic. But I think what we've built over the last, you know, 28 years of our life is such a strong bond, as in terms of a sisterhood and a friendship and a foundation that, you know, we also have that respect for each other that, you know, for LA, it might be different. I don't know what our levels are going to be, but, you know, Noemie's on the up. I've had a year off. So it's like, you don't know what that qualification is going to look like. And there are other girls as well in the squad. So it's always about being vulnerable and open in that moment. When it's someone that you're, you know, not really friends with, you can easily put that aside. But when it's someone that's, you know, that you're going to affect their performance. And that's what I find really challenging when we race each other in cross, because it's like I could affect your result. Even though I'm not trying to, but at some point we're going to fight each other, you know, whereas when you're in slalom, you're one by one, it's your performance. But cross, you can, you know, hit each other, sabotage each other a little bit, fight for the
because in cross there's 4 people going down at one time. You got to go round the cans, and like you see people really fighting to get around. And anyone who hasn't watched cross should definitely watch it, because
it becomes very confrontational.
It's brutal. It's not like being in a lane and doing your own thing,
or doing your own runs one at a time, and it's down to
it's like it's almost like a boxing match and a slalom race at the same time.
We've got that this afternoon. So.
This will be a great chance to avenge all the stolen clothes, Jess. This is a very good, healthy way to let out that anger and frustration. I wanted to ask, as the older sibling, and Noemie, you said that you couldn't really dream of going to the Olympics yourself because Jess was standing in the way. I want to ask Jess what it was like to be standing in that way.
Yeah, it's an interesting position to be in, and I think that I've worked so hard to get to the level that I am at, and, you know, trained alongside Noemie, wanted to push her as well to achieve her best. But at the end of the day, when it's coming down to, you know, racing, it's like, I want this and I'm fighting for this. And, you know, in a way, like you said, because I was world number 1, it did take away a little bit of that, I don't know what the word is. Like if we were both neck and neck in that qualification series, it's almost a bittersweet moment to qualify, because you go, oh, I just got it, but it could have been her. Whereas here it's like, oh, I won the world champ, so it's automatic qualification. It's kind of like clear, transparent, you go. But I think, you know, seeing when that spot came up for the cross, it made me realize how much that Paris campaign, I was feeling it, because I could see how hungry she was for it. and how much I wanted her to get it.
Mm.
And there's a bit of like, it feels almost selfish to go for 2 events when in some countries, people only go for 1 event. And so there's 2 who qualify.
Okay.
And even though I earned the spot and I can go for both, it almost feels wrong that I get to do that and that she can't or that another girl can't. And we're all fighting for this one dream. And you see other sports where, 10 girls can qualify in different sports.
Yeah.
And it just feels really, for me, I get this like guilt in a way, even though I feel like, well, no, I'm world number 1. I shouldn't feel that, but I do feel it a little bit. So that's why I think it's always been important for me to be generous and open to supporting and helping lift my teammates and helping lift Noemie up as well, because it's yes, I've earned this spot, but I want you to progress as well. I want you to have a shot. I want you to fight for it. I want you to be able to believe in yourself that you can be on that world championship podium. And then, it makes it harder for me to try and qualify or to try and be on the podium, but it also makes all of us better at the same time. But it's an interesting one because at the end of the day, when I'm on that start line, I have got to put all of those emotions aside and just try and I'm here to fight for my spot and I'm here to try and win and do the best I can. And
Do you find that easy, switching into that mode?
I found it hard in Paris for the cross.
Yeah.
Because knowing Noemie had qualified and we were then face to face with each other in the first round or was it heat 1 or round 1? I feel like it was round 1.
Yeah.
I found that so hard because I just didn't want to be the one to affect her.
Did you find it hard, Noemie?
Yes, but I think for different reasons.
Okay.
I think it was something that a lot of people asked us in the media, well, what's going to happen when you verse Jess? And we'd say, well, it's actually quite unlikely with the seeding rounds.
Did you jinx it?
Literally.
And then it really felt like it had been manifested and jinxed by the media. And when we found out very early on after just 1 round that we were versing each other, it was just one of those like, I feel sick moments because me selfishly, I did not want Jess to knock me out. But then I also didn't want to knock her out. I just wanted to, I didn't even want to have that emotional energy.
Yeah. You don't want to even think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but you just want to focus on yourself and getting yourself to the end as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And you want to be able to not play dirty, but just destroy your enemies. I think that's kind of how you've got to think about it.
I understand.
You need to be able to go out and not be like, oh, am I going to hit her? Because she's my sister. And yeah, I think there's that. I didn't want to have that emotional energy and to also know that Jess knocked me out after winning 2 medals and I'd be out in round 1 because then, the defeatist, the what if mindset for me really can come in quickly and be like, this is going to happen. What if that happens? What if that happens? But I think how it unfolded, I also didn't want to think about, are we going to work together? Because that takes a lot of energy as well. How are we going to do this in this scenario? Because normally it's you fight every man for themselves and read the scenario and read the situation. But there can be a strategy if there are 2 teammates. But I didn't want to have to.
Yeah, and I think we didn't go there. Like I think I asked you which lane do you want? And
I was going to be first to choose.
Yeah. So but I wanted to know what lane you were so I could choose to kind of protect you in a way.
Okay.
So that I could control my position. Basically, she went on the outside, so I went on her inside. And I could have fought her straight away. But I also was like, I don't think I had a good start. So I fought left. I fought the girl next to me. For me.
Would you have fought Noemie?
Not Noemie, but
you wouldn't.
But I might have fought someone else who was next to me.
But if it hadn't have been Noemie on your right,
I would have fought. Yeah,
you
probably.
Fought.
Yeah, probably. I would have definitely gone harder. But there was part of me that was like, I want her to get out and do her race.
Yeah.
And then I'll do my race.
Okay.
And in the end, I didn't even have to think about a scenario where, how can I protect her? Because she's gone. She was gone. She was so good. She didn't need me. I sabotaged myself.
I think there was this piece of knowing, okay, well, I already know who's next to me and I know that they instinctively won't come straight away to me. There are a lot of athletes that straight off the start, instead of just trying to get some speed out, they'll hit you straight away. And it can often sabotage both of you. And then you both are second, third and fourth and you think, great, are you proud of this? But so I think there was that piece of knowing, okay, well, I'll be able to just do my start and then we could have fought after
Yeah.
that, but just not straight from the start. But
Yeah.
you didn't start that great and then got hit straight away by who was in third from Netherlands and then got
Yeah.
Mm.
caught out. And then when we finished, it was this moment, and I'll never forget it. I did the up left and I saw you come in second and then miss the gate on the exit. And my instinct, and I think that's where, you realize, wow, like you care for that person. It was
that
like,
moment you realized?
oh my gosh, like she
Yeah.
didn't make it. She's not
Yeah.
coming with me into the next round. And then that moment that unfolded afterwards was super special. And one of my favorite moments from the games was that, embrace and the hug that we had and just saying, take it all the way. And it was such a beautiful moment. And on paper, on the narrative, it is the perfect sort of story because then the way she supported and the way everyone saw her true nature as outside of an athlete, but being such a caring and supportive person and so humble, I think everyone got that chance to see you in that light as well, which I think was beautiful, and I got my moment. It was then really nice to know that we're not going through now quarterfinal, semi-final, and final.
It was almost
Altogether.
liberating.
Yeah.
It
Like
was-
you could just focus on you and you wouldn't have to think about me. And yeah, it is really hard to try and focus on your own race, but also know that whatever you do can affect the person you care about. And
Yeah.
I remember feeling so sick about that first race. And so in a way, when it
felt
happened,
so unlucky.
It felt unlucky.
Really,
Yeah,
really
it did.
unlucky.
but I think they're not going to look at us and go, how unlucky, they won 3 gold medals.
No, but I think, and that's where the power of, like that shifting, I
Yeah.
think the narrative and not being like, oh crap, Jess is going to knock me out. And now,
Yeah.
she might win. And then what, this was, I've worked so hard. This was my opening and I could be out and finish 28th. And that's not my level. And, sometimes you just let yourself
Spiral.
invent these narratives, and it was not the case at all. And
I think it was liberating. Like it was, for you, it was a good start that you needed. And then each round, it was like, wow, okay, she's on here. She raced well. Okay, next round, refocus, let's go. And it was, I felt so nervous on the bank because I wanted to support.
And
I didn't want to get in the
having that
way.
moment of like experiencing it from the bank.
Oh, it's
others
bad.
Probably haven't.
It's so hard.
But Jess has been the athlete the whole time as well.
Yeah. And
how are you as a supporter?
I'm hysterical. Like, not well.
It's a bit unhinged, isn't it? It's really
unhinged.
hard.
And you know what? I was like,
Unhinged is a good word.
I was like, I don't care how I look. I don't care if I knock someone out of the way when I'm running alongside you. I don't care if I'm screaming and losing my voice. It was like all the energy I have, I am giving you in this moment. I had like all my fingers crossed. I was like pacing and like praying, and I was just any superstitious thing I could do, I did. Like each round, she would finish and I would go back to the position that I was in the round before. Like I was like, okay, we're on a roll here. Like
let's reset. Okay, positions, everybody.
Yeah. You're trying to do anything you can in your control, but realistically, it's out of your control
All of
now
it.
for the first time ever,
All of
right?
it.
Like,
but then even things like, should I go see her? Like, I don't want to put her off and psych her out if I go see her. Like, you finding the balance of like,
yeah.
I'm here if you need me. And then if
Actually, I did not see you at all.
which is probably good. You need
But
that.
I think it goes so fast. The day of the quarterfinals to the finals goes so fast. And there was the same thing as Jess, that routine. Okay, this is working well. After every round, go back up to the tent, write in my little journal, like who's in the round, what I did, and then go back and warm up and go and lock in. And it's this state of mind that I look now from like the outside and I'm like, how did I, like, that was me. That's insane, And it was the most locked in I've ever been in my life. And I think there's that level of superstition where it just felt like this is my bloody moment, and I really felt it. And I've never felt anything like that since, or even the races I've had now, it's been like nothing compared to Paris. And sometimes you just feel the energy, and not to sound woo-woo, but like even in Tokyo, when I was watching Jess for the C1, like we had all the little rocks that you collect for good luck, and just like the emotional energy of watching Jess win, that was huge, and probably still one of the most emotional races, I think, And then Paris, just knowing like everything seems to be like lined up in the universe, you know, the fact that it's Paris and France, the fact that we're there together, the fact that we've been having so much fun. You won 2 medals and then you're like, whoa, now I'm in the final. Like my best friends were there having the time of their bloody lives, and every day, every round thinking like, oh my God, she's through again. And I think it was like, this is my runway, you know, and it's crazy, that feeling of Paris and what we did and how we felt and how much we enjoyed it and got to live through together. And so now I'm like,
now what?
Now what? Is it all downhill from here?
Now we do it again, guys. Like, it's addictive. And I'm really struck that you're talking about the energy a lot. It takes a lot of energy because you're watching your sister race earlier in the week, watching Jess win 2 medals. And I know from when I've watched Cate, you get excited, but you're like, every energy out is energy out. Like, I need to like kind of conserve this excitement. Even when you've got multiple races, you're like, I'm excited, but I can't be too excited.
Yeah.
How was that for you managing it then? And then it feels like you actually found a way to harness it and bring it into your own story. And how did you do that?
I think naturally I'm an incredibly good Olympic spectator. I've got a lot of experience
Lots
in
of
it.
experience.
And I said to my sports psych, I said, it's going to be really hard because I don't want to drain my energy, but I don't want to deprive myself of watching my sister compete at the Olympic Games and not feeling anything. Like, you know, I'm such an emotional person. I want to feel it. And even my teammates, and I'll never forget Tristan Carter, who competed in canoe. He was the first person to go down. The men's canoe were first, and how nervous I felt for him, like sickening. And we're not that close, like we're teammates, but like he's not my brother. And then I thought, okay, I'm really going to have to channel and control this, otherwise it's going to be out of control. And that was on Monday, I think, or the Sunday, and then I competed like 6 to 7 days later. So it was a long program, and every single day was huge emotional energy, but so many wow moments that were so inspiring, from Jess winning to then the French C1 winning and hearing that home national anthem, to then Jess winning again, to then one of our favorite friends winning the kayak and thinking like, and crying for him. I cried for every single podium. And I go home and I'm like, girl, you need to
get it together.
But I think
you can't. You also have to be yourself as
and
well.
I think that's who I am. I'm emotional. I'm inspired. And I'll never forget, Jess, in Paris, we were like roommates in our chateau room. Like we were neighbors in our little chateau.
For an Olympics.
And I walked into Jess's room before she won, and I saw her podium tracksuit. So, you know, you have the tracksuit you can wear, and then you have your podium tracksuit. And she had it hanging up, and I was like, oh, wow, like you have it hanging up. And she's like, yes, I can see it, you know. And then she won, and I put a little like gold message on her. Like I had all these stickers and sticky like gold letters, and I wrote gold on her door, and then I wrote gold ×2. And then I was like, I'm going to hang my tracksuit in my room. And so I hung my tracksuit out. I wore my tracksuit.
Did you wear it?
I wore it in the mirror.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah, I did.
It
Because I was
suits me.
staying all by myself in my room, and I was wearing my tracksuit. And then I think it was just like channeling the inspiration of like being so wowed by the performances and wanting my own moment, like being like, you know what? I want to wear that tracksuit. And then winning, and then seeing again one of my best friends win just after me, and like in the kite cross men's Finn Butcher, and it just felt like I was going to pass out every day with like, life's so good. And that was our Olympic experience. Amazing.
It was, insane. I think back to that, and I really believe that you've got to manage your energy, but you can also get so much energy from seeing those incredible, inspiring moments. And I think you've probably never let yourself think like, they did it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing someone like Giovanni when he won the kayak, and, you know, Nico. And
so emotional.
And you were so emotional because you're like, I love this person, is such a great person, and they're such a lovely.
And it felt like they were always going to win. They deserved to win.
They deserve to win. And then you have to let yourself believe that you can too, and that you're allowed to have that dream and that moment. And, you know, it's hard in sport because you can be the favorite and win. You can be the favorite and not win. And you can be a complete surprise on the podium, but it's like everyone is chasing it and believing in it. And you've got to be able to find the magic when it's there. And I think we all felt it in Paris. It was just so
I'll never forget one of the conversations I had with mum actually before the Olympics. Like I'd qualified, and I remember just telling her that I think we were talking about results and that I was nervous about, the results. Sometimes it's really hard to focus on the process, even though that was my screensaver all year. Focus on the process. And she was like, yeah, but you're not in the 100-meter sprint where you know what you're going to finish. Because I think I saw someone say, oh, we're on track for a bronze medal finish. And I thought, wow, like imagine just going to the Olympics and knowing what you could finish. And for us, it's really hard to know that. Yeah. And she said, yeah, but imagine that, you could go in and know you're going to finish 8th. But in your sport, you could go in and win. You've beaten everyone before.
There's something good about the unpredictability.
Yeah. And so I think that was like, actually, yeah, wow, I'm going in and I've actually beaten everyone before. So why not me? Whereas in slalom, I probably wouldn't have had as much confidence. I'd say, maybe a 6th or a 7th, potentially, who knows? But I think in cross, it was like, no, I've beaten everyone before.
On paper, it can happen.
And it could be anyone. Yeah.
Listening to both of you, I'm struck by the fact that you were both incredibly competitive individuals that set insanely high standards for themselves. And I think that lots of people think that with competitiveness, there's an element of selfishness. But what has shone through so strongly between the two of you is that even an individual performance can be shared, and that there is joy to be found in taking joy in other people's performances. So like, Schadenfreude is obviously taking pleasure in someone else's pain or discomfort. But the other side of that is like Freudenfreude, which is taking pleasure in someone else's joy.
Yeah.
And I can feel that so strongly, not just for each other, but it feels like you extend that to other people and competitors around you. Is that something that you think comes from having to work to do it for each other? Because when you're competing against each other and you want to be the best, it can sometimes be hard to like genuinely be happy for another person.
Yeah. And it's not always easy in training. You just spoke about training this morning. Like I used to get so frustrated in a similar position to you, Noemie, when Cate was the best in the world and I was the second best in the world, but not the best in my family, and like getting beaten in training every single day. And I would like be enraged and like compare myself to that every day and be like, okay, I'm this percentage slower. This is how much better I need to be. And like, that's uncomfortable. But it sounds like you've chosen not to make it uncomfortable. You've chosen a more joyful path for each other and then for your whole environment.
I mean, I think it definitely ebbs and flows. In Paris, we had the ultimate like, oh, I'm so happy you won. Oh, I won. I'm so happy.
That's like amplified. Yeah. Like when you both do well, it is just like, it's like the best feeling in the whole entire world. Like there's nothing better than that.
And especially in our individual sport, like to see someone win and then like it's rare to both be ecstatic. A lot of the time it's, me being 12th in a final or disappointed and watching Jess's podium, but you're happy for them because you care for them as a person. I'm not happy for most of my competitors. I'm like, freaking damn it, But I think it's because of, Jess as a person and I care for her. And I think recently my world championships were a big disappointment. I made the final and finished 8th or, results. I didn't look at it after that, but my teammate, Cate won bronze. And as hard as that was, in the moment, because I thought that could have been me, I was so happy for her as well because you care for that person and you know how much it means to them as well. And I think that's something we have fostered in our training group. She would have felt the same for me. If it was me, she would have thought initially, damn it, that could have been me, but would have been really proud of me as well. And I think that's kind of the relationships we build because at the end of the day, it's you want to be inspired by your teammates as well and be lifted up by them. But it's not easy constantly being, on the sidelines or happy for other people. And I think that's where Paris shifted for me because I realized, oh, actually, I can have that moment too now, So.
And I probably didn't appreciate enough how hard it would have been for you. Like in my, London, Rio, Tokyo
London,
moments.
I was like 13. So
Yeah,
it was
so-
fine.
yeah.
And Rio, I had the time of my life in the grandstand, so it was okay as well.
But still, I think, to see those moments and how happy and proud you were and sharing that with me was what made it so special for me too. But I know that's hard for you. And I think, seeing how you always approach it with such grace as well. Obviously, you're disappointed if you don't perform and I win, or vice versa. It's hard. But I think you can always find that joy for someone else. And Cate Eckart, our teammate, was the perfect example of that at the World Champs. I was on the sidelines watching the Worlds, just devastated I couldn't compete. And it was like, I could sit here and be miserable about it, or I could channel my energy for good and support my teammates. And it was so hard seeing Noemie disappointed and upset with her race. But she was the first person to go hug Cate when we knew that she'd won. It was like, wow, like so proud of you. I know how hard you've worked in those moments. And it does take, like, you're going to feel the hurt and you're going to feel upset with your performance, but you can still feel that like pride for someone else and let that inspire you. So it was, as hard as it was, I think it was so special to see her succeed, Cate, because it was a win for us too. It's always so special.
And you can feel the two things at one time. You can feel hurt and upset and disappointment. Maybe there's a bit of shame, all of those yucky emotions that come after a bad performance. You can feel that for yourself. And then you can maybe still allow yourself or choose to feel the joy for the other person. And sometimes it's like it's a choice, and it's going through with the action that allows those feelings to be expressed. If you allowed yourself to sit in a corner and be by yourself and like just be angry and bitter and disappointed, then that's all you're going to be feeling. But when you choose to like act on the happiness that you can express for another person, then you're allowed to experience those emotions as well. Noemie, I want to ask you what it was like to grow up in a family of Olympians before you got to call yourself that, because that must have been challenging to have these expectations and these standards set by people, which, like, to go to an Olympic Games, you're in like 0.0014% of the Australian population, like so statistically improbable, like it's insane. And yet, firstly, that's the standard that you're being held to by other people. But I want to ask so that's sort of the first part of the question. And the second part is like, how did you define yourself? Because when you succeed or in the public eye, people define you by your achievements. And they were already doing that for Jess and the rest of your family. How did you manage to cultivate your own identity and navigate that? And people can say some awful things, can't they?
People are so insensitive.
Just horrific. I can only imagine what they would say to you.
Yeah, I mean the most common like laughing joke, like, oh, Naomi, oh yes, Amy, Noemi, like those sorts of jokes you get all the time. One of the most common ones was, oh, so you're the only one that's never been to the Olympics. That's crazy.
So funny.
It's the sort of thing you hear constantly, but it is that, I know, and it was definitely hard, I think, when I was trying to, like, I loved the sport and I was trying to take it seriously. But in Australia, when you're not an Olympic athlete, it is hard to be, I think, categorized as a professional athlete, or even, overseas, and extended family or friends being like, oh, you're still doing it, because, they'd see the Olympics and the preparation or the medals, and they don't realize you're behind the scenes and not getting the medals or not going to the Olympics, but still investing hard in your project and trying to make it. So you don't feel like you're an athlete. And so for me, it was doing a lot of things, like I said, outside of the sport to not just be defined by my results, because I think I didn't fully want to commit because I hated the way the sport was making me feel in terms of results. It was a lot of disappointment, a lot of 11th places for a very, very long time, and a lot of identity crisis, and a lot of, feeling like I'm not learning the sport and Jess is just excelling, and how come everyone is doing it so easily, and a lot of, not questioning, maybe it's my equipment because I'm using Jess's paddle or Jess's old boat, or then the same boat that she has, but maybe that's not good for me, but it works for Jess, and that we're in the same training group, so it should work for me. So I think it all kind of shifted when I went overseas to Switzerland and loved my work and loved what I was doing. And they offered me a job. And I thought, actually, like, I also love my sport and I don't feel ready to give that up, because I had a 6-month hiatus doing that internship during COVID, which was lucky. Otherwise, I probably would have kept on going with the routine of sport. And that shifted my mindset of, okay, well, if I want to do it, I have to own it and do it well and want to improve. And it's much easier to improve when you have a big goal and a big target. And soon kayak cross was confirmed as an Olympic discipline. And then soon after that, we found out that there would be 3 extra quotas, and the door was tiny, but it was an opening for once. And I think that just shifted everything. And the whole mindset of, okay, well, if I don't make it and I stay the only one in the family that's never been to an Olympics and isn't an Olympian, at least this time we gave it everything, and there would have been so much to learn from that process that you can be proud of, and then you can move on.
Yeah. It sounds like you just want to shoot your shot.
Yeah.
The door opened a tiny bit and you're like, I'm going to force my way through this and go as far as I possibly can.
Yeah, because I think there was a lot of kind of like shrugging along and doing it for the routine and then just being disappointed, but not wanting that hunger to change and to win, and to, because I knew, I felt like I didn't have what it took, but I was just a bit hesitant compared to Jess since a young age, 13, being like, I want to win. Like, I didn't have that until a later age. I think I needed to develop outside of the sport to really realize that I wanted to win as well.
How has your passion for kayak changed since you made that switch to go full on mode? And then how has it had an impact in like how competitive you are? Because perhaps, Noemie, you're seriously considering challenging Jess for a spot in those individual races in LA.
I think it changed because you start to really, when you really want to learn and to soak up people's advice around you and start, saying your goals out loud, as scary as that is. Previously, I wasn't saying I want to go to the Olympics because I knew it was really hard or impossible. And so, you lay low and you're like, oh no, I don't really care that much. And when the truth is you do, but you're too scared to say it. And that changed a lot for me. So wanting to learn from everyone that could help me, wanted to soak up as much as I could and learn from others and do a lot of review. And so I improved a lot. And then when you improve, you enjoy it more sometimes because it becomes a bit easier in our sport. And I also became more competitive and wanted to win more. And so there was a massive internal motivation and drive. And today I think what's really hard is like I don't wake up being like Paris and I think, or like the Olympics, and that's my goal. And so that's been a big shift, I think, post Paris, because it was consuming for me and got me the most incredible results. And so I think, if I don't wake up thinking LA, like, will I not get there or things like that. So I think there's just a shift in motivation post Paris because it's not an Olympic year and because that was very consuming. But yeah, I've definitely felt that I've improved and competitive. And today what's hard is post surgery with Jess. I don't know when I'm like a second or two behind, like this morning, if I'm 2 seconds behind, the best in the world again, or if we're both slow, So, but it's been so incredible to see Jess's skill come back and to be training partners again. And for me now, the goal for LA would be slalom as well, not just kayak cross. So developing those disciplines as well. So yeah, I think we're lucky that we're in a sport where it constantly humbles you and tells you that there's so much to continue to learn and do.
The water keeps you very honest.
It really does. Jess, I did want to ask you about this last year because you haven't been able to compete this last year. You've had surgery. You're getting back into it. Firstly, how is that recovery going? And how does it feel to be back on the water?
Oh, good. I think, it was a huge shock to find out that I had a tumor on my kidney when you're kind of in your mind, you're like, I'm an elite athlete. I'm like the epitome of health, you know?
I'm super healthy despite all my injuries and everything else.
Actually,
and I'm sore all the time.
I feel like we're probably actually on the like one of the extreme ends of if you push too hard, you're not healthy anymore.
Yeah, it's over the edge.
Anyway, when I found out, it was really my body telling me to just stop everything for 8 weeks, and I've never done that before.
What was that like?
It was the first 2 weeks I was pretty incapacitated and couldn't move much anyway. So I was like, yeah, my body needs to recover. I think at about week 4, I started feeling like I could move around and feel good and, you know, start walking. And then I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. And then I'd feel my body just be exhausted for hours after. I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. And then, you know, things started coming back, but it felt different. Like obviously I had, you know, my core cut up and I've got a few new scars. So things have moved around and they need to find their position again, and then your core has to get stronger again. So when I had those first few paddles, it was like, wow, I've never felt so shit, but this feels amazing. It was like pure joy to just be back out on the water and back on, you know, the first paddle was the day of the World Championships. It was like bang on the 6-week mark, which was when I was allowed to paddle, and I was like, I'm going in
to the day.
10 minutes. It was just 10 minutes, but it was like I snuck out in the morning and I went for a paddle, and it was like, oh, okay, this is day 1 like of the comeback. And you know, it took me a few months. I'm at 5 months now, I think. And you know, now I'm starting to feel better on the water, where I have glimpses of my old self. I'm like, oh, that was kind of like me of 2024. Or, you know, I'm starting to find the intensity again. I'm starting to train normally again and not have that excuse in the back of my head of, is this because of my surgery? It's like now I should be at the stage where we're just building back up in terms of fitness and strength and technical ability. But, you know, there was a moment where I got in my kayak from Paris and I was like, oh, it doesn't turn. It feels really hard. And Noemie's like, you won the Olympics in that. I don't think it's the boat. And I was like, the problem is me. But no, it's good. It's about, you know, enjoying the build back up and trying to be competitive, you know, try and push myself, but at the same time, give myself the grace of, you're coming back. Like it's going to take a bit of time. You've got to be patient. So yeah, it's a work in progress, but I'm feeling good about it.
I'm ecstatic to hear that. And looking towards LA, sort of have a bit of a 2-pronged question here. Like LA it's coming. It's 3 years away, but it comes. They come down really, really quickly. Noemie, you're saying you feel very differently about Paris and LA. Like those are 2 very different feelings you have towards those 2 Olympics. I wonder, Jess, like, having already gone to 4 and now looking at number 5, how different have all of them felt for you? And how different does it feel looking towards LA versus the others?
Oh, I think every Olympics has felt different. You know, London was the first one, nothing to lose. You know, you're here for the experience. You win a medal. It was like, wow, this is a dream. I didn't expect it. And then Rio was my first taste of pressure and expectation. And I won a bronze and felt disappointed, and that was kind of a new experience. And Tokyo was different because it was the COVID Olympics and nothing about that felt normal. But we were grateful to be there. You know, it was a weird vibe. Good. Kind of felt like we were there to do a job, but you had to be grateful about it. You know, it was kind of
it wasn't that celebration atmosphere.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So Paris was all about enjoying that experience. And I think, you know, sharing it with Noemie, it was going to be just incredible to live it and, you know, to be flag bearer and to try and compete in 3 events. And for me, it was about that K1 gold and trying to, you know, do the double. And it was more than I ever could have imagined. So LA feels different because the runway to LA is different. You know, I'm a different athlete now towards LA than I was towards Paris. So I'm kind of unsure what it looks like. I don't think it has to look the same as Paris in terms of, you know, all 3 events and, you know, maybe the lead up will be different. I used to do every single competition, every single World Cup, maybe that won't be what I need to get to LA.
It takes a toll on you traveling all the time and not being able to like connect in with friends and family who maybe are back in Australia. Like the longer you hold on.
The
higher the sacrifice.
There's more tying you home now in a way.
Yeah.
So it's going to look different in terms of how I lead in, and I'm finding my feet again in terms of competition this year. So I'm hungry for LA, but I'm also allowing it to look different and allowing the lead in to look different. And yeah, it feels like I'm starting my Olympic quad now because I've had like a year break. So I'm excited to see how I go this year and sort of take it step by step. But I guess, you know, we go to the venue for the LA Olympics this year for the World Championship. So that'll be our first taste of it.
Which is in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Sorry. I did not realize
It is
that.
not LA. So
Unfortunately, I say LA, but we're going to be in Oklahoma. So it's going to be a very different Olympics. No Eiffel Tower. It's Oklahoma.
I'm trying to think.
I was about to start
What's
singing
in
Sweet Home Alabama, but it's not the right place.
You know those, what are those?
Tumbleweeds?
Tumbleweeds, yeah. I reckon
It's
they're
famous for tumbleweeds.
I don't know. I just made that up.
We'll watch,
That's what it feels like.
We'll watch
over there.
Oklahoma the musical before.
Okay,
going.
great.
Well,
We're going to get
Yes.
pumped. We'll find ways to get pumped for it.
We'll go to
Well,
a rodeo show.
That sounds
lean
fun. Go find some like cowboys to chase over there. I mean,
gonna
not that
lean
anyone needs to be chasing cowboys.
But no, I think it'll be exciting to get over there, see what it's like. I haven't been to that venue before. You haven't either. So we haven't done much racing in the US. So it's kind of an untapped territory for us to go back there and experience it all and get ready for it.
Well, I think it's really smart knowing that it's going to look different and allowing that grace because you can't repeat a moment, right? And even if you try to repeat the preparation, there's a lot of stuff that's outside of your control. Like I think that the worst preps I've ever had is when I'm like, I want to replicate what happened before. And like the first time I got injured, I was like, I just need to replicate what I was doing before I was injured without like acknowledging that my body was different now. It took me quite a long time to like make that shift to like, you have to do things differently.
I think because we're in a mindset of like, but this got me to be
This works.
the best.
Yeah.
So I know I need to do that. And I'm like, wow, maybe my body can't handle the training I was doing when I was 20.
And I think what's also been quite hard is, you know, your coach seeing you and being like, Jess, why aren't you at this level again? You know, our coach is our mum. And
I was just going to say, we're talking about your coach, but we're actually talking about your mum.
We're talking about our mum, and I think it's been a shock for everyone, and giving you the grace as well to discover your level again or do what feels good, and our sport is so technical, so that's a gift in that sense, you know. But it's definitely it's so hard.
Well, speaking of gifts, this is just like a beautiful little segue because
wow.
part of you gracing us with your presence is we have little gifts for everyone who comes on to the podcast and we get to see in person. So they are handmade by
Bronte
the
clay?
beautiful
Bronte clay, yes, I did make these with my bare hands.
And
Okay, so I have these little plates that I made for you guys. This one's for Jess, and this one's for you, Noemie.
God.
And this is the imprint of the first gold medal that you won, Jess.
I'm gonna cry.
And Noemie, this is your imprint of the gold medal from Paris, and on the back is the date that you guys won those things. So these are for you. Oh, don't cry, you'll make me cry immediately.
And was it with your gold?
Yeah, I was going to say, did you use your gold?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we didn't come into your house and steal your gold medal.
That is such a
No, I didn't draw it. That's a literal imprint of
Imprint
the medal, and
wow.
a special thing that you can hopefully put by your bed or your door, and
put
a
your
wonderful
insane.
reminder.
That's the sort of thing when you're like 85, you're like, oh,
Would you like some biscuits?
you're like, that's a gold medal imprint from a fellow Olympic champion.
That's amazing, Bronte. I love it. That is so special. What a great idea.
Yeah, she's a smart one.
That's beautiful. You've definitely
Bronte.
inspired
Are
me
you
with your
creative,
clay.
Cate? Because Jess is very creative, and I'm like, I have no creative genes, and I'm not thoughtful. I don't think of this stuff.
I'm definitely not as creative as Bronte, but we sort of, because we are together all the time, we've kind of chosen quite different hobbies. So I got into photography and furniture restoration for a while, and Bronte sort of got into clay and
love that.
plants and.
Just so you know, anyone can do this. Like you guys can come with me, and you could honestly make these yourself. They're not difficult, but
Love it.
I'm
That's so special.
I'm so happy that you love them, and
I
I
absolutely
had
do.
such joy making them.
You know, it's funny. I don't know what you do with your Olympic medals, but I'm like, I don't see myself ever displaying it in my
No.
home. Like,
No.
it's not going to be something that I like hang up on a wall, but this is something you like
Yeah.
proudly do, because it's discreet enough that if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's so beautiful and so thoughtful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been such a
Thank
beautiful
you.
chat, and I've got so much from it. So thank you so
I feel
much.
like it was a bit of therapy, you know.
I needed it.
We'll have to do it the other way too, so we can.
Oh, I'm
like,
scared.
ask you
God.
questions. No, you don't want to find out.
But thank you so much, guys. It has been a joy having you on Campbell's & Co.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Campbell's & Co. See you next time.
This episode was produced by The Podcast Boss.
Our artwork is by Becky Finer.
And music and mixing is by Jim Finn.